Hello, 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 and welcome to the Full Quota podcast here on One World Sports Radio. Just thank you very much to all the fans out there. Thank you for joining us today. We've got a very lovely show for you and a podcast for you. Remember, most importantly, before we get going, you can interact with us on all these various platforms on Facebook, on Twitter, Instagram, as well as on YouTube. The most important one is YouTube. Can you please like and subscribe? That's where you can see our lovely faces. Most of the other platforms, you don't see our lovely faces. And Tim's got some very nice headphones going on there. So that's a very good thing to have as well. But before we carry on with today's show, got a really, really great guest for you. Tim, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. So looking forward to introducing our new guest for this week's show, but all good. And yeah,
have you been watching the British and Irish Lions tour?
I have. I know we've been doing a lot of good work there on the commentary side. It's certainly been a spicy series.
It is, and the spicy series continues on Saturday on One World Sports Radio with digital commentary. You can watch along with us on YouTube and send us your comments. The third test on the 7th of August. It is the decider, and I'm excited for it, and I'm sure Tim is. But we're not talking rugby today. We are talking cricket, and we have a special guest, the Proteas men's team, the men's national team, Physio, in Craig Govender, which is going to bring him on for just a chat to see how he's doing, how he got into the game. There may be some budding physiotherapists who want to take over his job, so that would be very good. Not necessarily giving the tricks of the trade, but maybe giving some young physios a bit of inspiration, and maybe some guys who are young. We've got a lot of teenagers and a lot of guys in university who are looking for ways to get into cricket. They love the game, and maybe that's something that we could also do as well. But hi, Craig. How are you doing? Thank you for joining us.
How's it, guys? Thanks for having me. Cold Joburg at the moment, so got my heater next to me, keeping me warm.
Yeah, sure. It's not Ireland. My friends in Ireland tell me how scorching hot it was.
It's crazy. I don't think they had weather like that in their history, and we couldn't even get to the beach.
I saw those Instagram videos.
No, it was torture. They were torturing us.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you enjoyed the castle that you guys stayed. That was beautiful. I love that. I was like, wow, okay,
in Ireland?
The best that Ireland can provide.
Yeah, we stayed at in Malahide. We stayed at one of the golf links. I believe it's like 78th in the world in terms of golf courses. We couldn't get out, so But yeah, it was quite nice, and yeah.
That's good. So let's get started. So you've been the men's team physio for about 8 years. Let's start from the beginning, like your upbringing in the game. Were you always a cricket fan?
Yeah, I was always a cricket fan. I always wanted to be the Proteas physio. I guess at grade 10, I chose my profession. I love cricket. I was a physio. And I wanted to be the national team physio.
Did you play at all?
Yes, I played quite a bit. Yeah, I played quite a bit. Played a lot of club cricket in Durban. Played a lot of varsity cricket at UWC. Played about 6 varsity weeks. Was a budding leg spinner. Yeah, I still bowl a lot of spin in the nets. So. Love it.
I was gonna say, you both of the boys in the nets.
Yes, I'm always there. I'm raring to go. I'm waiting for the spinners to get out the nets so I can get a chance.
That's amazing. That's a dream of mine, to actually bowl to the Proteas in the next. My only problem is I can't control my leg spin. So
not many can. Not the easiest art around.
No, it isn't. And then so obviously, from grade 10, you say that you always wanted to be the Proteas physio. Was physio something that you've always wanted to do? How did you discover that? Because I don't think a lot of guys in grade 10 will be like, well, I want to be a physio. Normally it's like medical doctor, then at varsity they somehow find a way to be like, because I didn't like blood, so I would have probably landed up at physiotherapy somehow.
Yeah, I love the game. I went to the first game in Kingsmead after isolation in 1992, India versus South Africa. So the bug, but then watch the 92 World Cup, watch Alan Donald bowl that first delivery that was given out, saw it with my eyes, and I thought, yes, this game is, I really enjoy the game, and I needed to find a profession that could get me into the game. And while being a club cricketer, I went to a physio for an injury. And I thought maybe this could be it. Being involved in the game, basically. How would I get there, not being a cricketer or a different discipline? Yeah.
Also, so can you go through your story? Because I know at one stage you were the national physio for the netball side, if I'm not mistaken. So just go through your story from the beginnings all the way up to the national side.
It was the volleyball team, the men's volleyball team.
Volleyball.
Yeah. So in between that, we, as physios, we gotta. That's how guys get to the Olympics as well. I was just chatting to my wife about that, how to get to the Olympics, and the way you got to do Africa games, you got to do zonal games, you got to do quite a long, a big amount of events through Africa. So I actually went with the national team to the Africa games in Morocco, because I actually played volleyball as well at school. So yeah, just through giving in a CV and trying to get into sport. Don't necessarily get into sport easily, so you got to put in your CV in as many places as you can. Yeah. So
and then from volleyball to the Proteas, how did that job come about? Was it just like a, hey, are you available? Or was it like obviously your CV was there and they couldn't say no to you at that point in time because it knocked the door down?
No, obviously there was quite a long road. Everything I did was geared towards cricket, and courses I did, and I did a master's, so I wrote a thesis on cricket injury prevention. So I was very, very tunnel visioned and minded and all that stuff. I spent hours on the internet researching. There was a famous researcher, Dr. Richard Stretch from Rhodes University and NNMU. And early on, I decided that he was going to be my master's supervisor. So he became my master's supervisor in 2006, and I went back to UWC to do my master's. And, I remember applying for a job to go with the emerging team, the South African emerging team in 2006 when I got back to UWC, but didn't get it because I wasn't working with names, people involved in cricket of a higher level. And then I went back to my director of cricket at UWC, and I proposed this medical center and how I'm going to create high performance at UWC, and he allowed me to do it. And by then I began creating high performance, doing testings and treating players whilst playing and while studying. And then when the master's was complete, I sent my CV to every franchise at the time, and I could have been anywhere in South Africa. And I remember he's now my physio mentor, Evan Speechley, who's based in Johannesburg. He was the box physio in 95. He's current Bangalore Royal Challengers physio. Has been India physio, and he kept my CV. And he called me one day when I was playing Nando's in Brackenfell, and he gave me this amazing call to come up to Johannesburg to shadow him for 4 days against the Titans in 2008, and I did. Then I went back home, and then he called me again in 2009 when we went to the IPL, and I did a month. And then I was then afforded an opportunity to go with the National Academy. Anton Ferreira gave me a call, and I went for my first National Academy gig. And in a place called Baldra in Bangladesh, then Dave Nosworthy, the coach of the Lions, asked me to be the first full-time physiotherapist in South African cricket. So the first, I was basically like a contracted player. So it was the first time a franchise employed a physio full-time. And that's in 2010, my dream came true.
And 10 years later, you have a fully fledged medical center, high performance center at the Wanderers. If you ever go, and if ever our fans go, you'll see it. It's incredible. I'm in awe of that. I think it's just a testament to your hard work. It's lovely.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks. And that was
Yeah.
Sorry, Tim.
You can tell us about that center. Tell us about because I'm not somebody who's been there. I'm not somebody who's seen it. So I can't. So give us an idea of the center and what it entails.
So basically, it was born about because I was seeing young players at the Lions when the injury was too far gone, over a year old, and I was sat there in my office and I'm thinking, this is not right. There's a missing link here. We losing young cricketers too early, and there's too big a gap between the elite, which is the professional team, and the amateur teams, all down the pipeline. So my vision was to bring about a multidisciplinary medical center at the Wanderers and try and find some of the better sports minds around. And we have 10 to 12 practitioners of different sorts, from podiatrists to optometrists to psychologists to dietitians and physios, chiropractors. All of us work together under one roof, and we want to try and bridge that gap. So it's basically building the stars for the future. Yeah.
That's a really good initiative, and I think it was needed at the time, and I think it truly is helping. So what team was South Africa playing? When was the first time you were there, Physio, when you got that opportunity?
So I was lucky enough in 2013 when Brendan Jackson was a physio at the time. He had a bit of a break, and they allowed me into the system. They allowed me to come in and mix with the team, and it was against Pakistan in 2013. Yeah, I sang the national anthem for the first time, and I've got that tie frame, so it's quite a big event for me.
Yes, I think it's a dream for all of us to represent our country, and in any way. And I think you're doing such a great job with the guys.
Thanks.
So let's talk about your preparation. Maybe we can start with the series and start with like a day in your life. What does your general work with the team, let's say, once it's announced, and then or when they meet, and then on going closer to game day, what necessarily happens for you that you need to do to just make sure that your day runs smoothly?
So basically, before we get the teams, the squad selected, we have a contracted number of players. So my job never ends. So I'm always monitoring them and chatting to them and sending programs and checking up with them with their franchise physio. So our system allows us to integrate that aspect of it. So these players are always monitored at all times. So when we get to camp, there's a matter of before we get to camp, the team is fully fit, right? We don't select players that are under a cloud of injury. Everyone has to be injury free, and then I know I'm dealing with healthy individuals, and obviously I know these guys. I know every aspect of them. I've been in the system for for quite a while, and through the SA system. So I get to, I mean, we were chatting the other day, and David Miller and I started the same time with SAA. We went to Ireland 10 years in 2012 together. That was his, one of his first tours. So, and we got there again, and we're reminiscing about the ground in Dublin, in Belfast, sorry. So
the same ground you guys played on the last time.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
We played SAA there. So Riza and Tamba was in that same squad. So you get to know these guys quite a lot. You get to know the injuries, obviously. So it becomes second nature in dealing with them. And and then when on tour, you got to keep managing people. So it's not just when players get injured, they see me, I'm always working on things to keep them on the field and enhance performance. So I see myself as a performance enhancer. I want to prevent injuries from happening. So if there's no injuries during a tour, that's my trophy. That's my series trophy, if you know what I mean. So if there's an injury, I take it quite personally. So that's what I try to strive for. So doing the little things all the time, managing them. Match prep is, it starts a lot earlier. So strapping, all strapping is done before we get to the field. There's no hurry. There's no running around for things. I get to the ground earlier than most people and set up everything from their personal drinks to their favorite music, all those little things. Yeah.
That's awesome. Is there a different approach that you take towards a batsman as opposed to a bowler, for example? Is a bowler, for example, needing more work than a batsman?
Yeah, generally they do. It's quite hard on the body. Fast bowlers, in particular, they do quite a bit. And for people that don't understand the game, fast bowling is not easy. To keep someone bowling 140 plus takes a lot of physical effort from the individual, and their body is taking a lot of strain. I'm sure you guys, you're quite ardent cricket badges. You do know that, like, they said that practically 7 to 9 times your body weight goes through that front foot. So you can imagine what's happening through the ankle, through the knee, through the hips, through the back. It's crazy. So getting all those things in place, and injury management and prevention is what we try and do to keep everyone playing.
And how has injury management and prevention changed throughout your career? I think obviously from when you started out in probably 2008 to now, like, what is there now a new focus? Because there's always these different focuses on injury. When we hear it around the world, there's lots of buzzwords, but how has it moved?
Yeah, it obviously moves, because that's what happens with the amount of cricket being played, or any sport being played. So the more sport there is, there's more data available. There's more research done. So when I started, there wasn't much of T20. So there's different types of games now. Well, the fifth one come about with T10, fourth T10, and now the 100. So there's different elements of cricket now. It's no longer just Test cricket 50 over and T20. So each discipline or each format has their own specificities. So does research, and what's new in medicine and what's new in cricket research. So I'm always keeping on top of cricket research and tapping into the researches and lots of studies, to keep on top of things.
That makes I was just going to add, that makes a lot of sense, because I come from a fitness background before all this, and the amount of hours spent on looking at research and new techniques is a huge undertaking before you go and do the various things.
Yes. No, definitely. You can't just thumb suck, eh?
Well, I was just hoping that the bleep test was done away with like 5 years ago. That's all I'm hoping for. It was a bane of my existence. What did you use now?
So from the bleep test, it went to the yo-yo test, and the yo-yo test has gone out the book. So now we're doing the 2K time trial, 2 kilometer time trial.
2 questions on that. What's the yo-yo test? And then how long must the time trial be?
Well, the yo-yo test is a bit more cricket specific. It's similar to the bleep, where there's bleeps, but there's a bit more time in between. But now we've gone off to a 2 kilometer time trial, which is running for 2Ks and getting your best time.
And do each player has their individual time, or is it just a general time to say you have to make it under this amount?
Yeah, at the moment we have a cutoff time. We have a cutoff time at the moment. Yeah.
Okay, so it's like the Comrades Marathon. Okay, it's gonna be.
But you're not getting a blue medal and a bronze medal.
What are you getting?
If you don't get that medal, then there's problems.
I was gonna ask what the time was, but if you're not comfortable to tell us, because I'm a random, so I'm trying to figure out if I'd make it in or not.
No, we're still getting there at the moment. We're looking at 8.5 minutes. Yeah.
What? Wow. Okay, that is gun fast. I'd have to sprint, and I still probably wouldn't make it. But that's another story for another day.
Yeah.
What would you say has been your most enjoyable tour so far, as a member of the Proteas setup, from a professional and from all aspects, not just from all aspects?
Yeah, obviously the World Cup was the pinnacle of my career. That was a dream quite a long ago, and getting there was amazing. I said it once in an interview that was like, you waited your whole life from watching that 92 World Cup, thinking about things, watching every World Cup, and then you had Lords playing Pakistan, and you like pinch yourself.
Oh.
It's like in the change room, you're looking at the honors board, you're looking at so many things. You turn around and there's Hashim Amla there and some of the greats in the world, and you're thinking, and then you walk through that amazing dining hall, and you come out into Lords. No, it was a real pinch yourself moment and feeling proud moment. I guess everyone has to take that on, feel that you finally got there, So it was quite an emotional one.
Yeah, we love the shirt in the background as well. So
Yeah.
Lords is a special place. I wouldn't lie.
It is special because there's only cricket memorabilia in my house. Not a lot of cricket memorabilia in my house. It's a special one.
That's amazing, because I think for me, I went to Lords in 2019 just before South Africa got to the World Cup, and it was just a county game, but I was like in awe of everything. I was like, it's like, for me it was like the pinnacle of my pilgrimage to the UK, but to watch a World Cup, that must have been truly special. Moving on to what's been happening in the world right now with obviously COVID and everything else, and the ICC's return to play protocols. First, are the return to play protocols still valid, or has ICC moved away, or are we still using those?
In terms of COVID?
Yes. So obviously when the team meets and in the bubble, do you still do the staggered training sessions and everything that the ICC had recommended, or was it just for when we were going back in the first time?
Yeah, no, it's obviously still done. We follow strict protocols. Also, our team doctors have particular protocols in place. So we do it quite diligently and very professionally. It's nice to know that we've come through a few tours with not a single COVID case. So obviously things are going well. It's not easy to be strict. It's quite demanding mentally and emotionally, but to keep the players on the field and to make sure that things are going well, it bodes well for our brand. as well, because we got quite amazing staff around in terms of doing the right things. Not always the most favored things, but so yeah, we are doing the right things, and we've got a great staff behind us.
And in that time, were you able to keep in contact with the players during that initial lockdown period to make sure that their fitness levels were going? It must have been quite hard not knowing when the next game was coming, but you still needed to manage everybody. As you said, like in terms of their fitness loads and
I
preventing
mean,
injury.
when COVID began and we were out of
Yes.
cricket for quite a while,
Yes.
that
Yeah. But,
initial
yeah.
period.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We were
obviously, I
level
mean,
5.
yes, yeah, that was quite a challenge. I mean, we got quite good with what we're doing now in terms of virtual technology. So we got quite flexible in our thinking, and we a lot more communication happened because we spoke a lot more to our players. I felt that the players grew as individuals because they, I mean, became fitter. I definitely felt that they took care of themselves more. They asked a lot more questions, which was quite nice. You wasn't We weren't always spoon feeding them, so they were doing things and were asking the right questions, and we actually came out of that level 5 with very with very fit players. And the only thing that we couldn't do was the skill part. So the bowling and the batting aspect, but it was also quite nice because that time allowed your chronic injuries to heal better, because you were out of cricket for quite a while, so the body needs rest. We never had that amount of rest before. So you're always playing with a niggle or two or three, and that's the reality of it. It's not often you get 100% fit athlete in the world, you know. But that's why now we have jobs. So yeah, so it was quite nice. We dealt with a lot of chronic related issues that healed up. Yeah, it was a challenge, but we got through it.
And then going forward on a personal level, do you have any goals? Do you have set for yourself? Like you said, you wanted to open up that centre at Wanderers. You wanted to become the Proteas Physio. Is there anything else that you would like to achieve in the near future?
Yeah, obviously, I obviously want to remain in cricket for some time, but it's also reality. COVID has taught us that we spend a lot of time away from our loved ones, and the bubbles don't allow us to necessarily see our loved ones that often. So we need to look past the game as well. So obviously, making sure that that after cricket, there's things properly in place for when the time comes to depart. Because for me, you can't be in the game forever. It's hard. It's not that easy traveling extensively. So making sure that the businesses are up and running, and maybe revisiting my PhD, which I stopped. So you never know that could happen. Thinking about an MBA, stuff like that. So yeah.
Some really, really admirable avenues there. I like the sound of Dr. Govender myself. To
Doesn't
start off.
really make. It's just a title, but
look, but the whole thing is obviously trying to get to the pinnacle of your career. I think the Proteas winning a World Cup under your watch would be the pinnacle of our sport. But obviously
everyone
you
wants
have
it.
this. We yes, I think you've been watching from '92, so you've seen it all. Some of us came in somewhere in the middle there, and we've ridden this road with all of you, carrying the team as they go around the world. Looking towards the next World Cup, the Proteas are set to play Sri Lanka and possibly even go to the World Cup from there. But some players are going to go to the IPL, so that's a whole lot of bubbles. That must logistically be a bit of a situation. But going back to the previous one, because I think past is a little bit of a hindsight. How did you guys manage that this tour to? Because normally you go to the West Indies, come home, spend a week here, then go to Ireland. Now it was South Africa, West Indies, and Ireland for the past 2-3 months. They're probably in a bubble.
Days. 61 days, a couple hours and minutes. Not, and yeah. It was challenging. Yeah.
But how did you manage that? Getting the players, because obviously, my assumption would be if you go from one bubble to another, there's a period of isolation, and being not active and fit might lead to more injuries. Did you have like Zoom yoga sessions in the morning, Zoom training sessions with the guys in their rooms to get them going? How did you manage that whole manage keeping the guys fit when didn't have that many injuries on tour? So that's a good thing to you.
Yeah, so obviously before we get to the tour, there's a lot of fitness being done. So the guys have a base fitness. Like I said, there's criteria that every player needs to meet. So you have fit individuals joining you already. When you're traveling and when you're isolating for a period of time, like in your room, we have programs in place. Tumi Masikela, the strength and conditioning coach, and myself will give players programs per day. There's always a new session per day in their rooms. Guys have bands, guys have body weight stuff. There's flexibility to do. There's mobility, making sure the joints are limber. All those types of stuff are in place, 100%. So from your hydration perspective, making sure there's fluids intake. They need to keep fresh because it's difficult in a room. So each country has their different ways of isolation, period of isolation. You go to Australia and it's 14 days. So 2 weeks could, that's tougher, obviously. So the demands are different depending where you go. But it was managed quite well now. Like you said, we were touch wood, we didn't have too many injuries on tour. And yeah, the guys are quite receptive. They're quite professional. We got very good athletes that listen, so it's nice. It's nice to work with kind of athletes like that listen and also, challenge. So you just don't want someone to just take in information. We both need to be challenged, vice versa, and that creates for a healthy, conducive environment.
That's actually very comforting to hear that there's that two-way conversation. Normally it's always a one-way street with your physio. They say, do this exercise, and you just ask how, and then you try to figure out a way to do it.
I have a different methodology. Obviously, I'm not in anyone else's shoes. Mm-hmm. I don't know what anyone else feels, so I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna listen before I give my opinion. So a lot of the time, guys, think about it. At this level, if you're coming up to the Proteas, you've been through many physios in your time, and you've learned. A lot of these guys are anatomists already. They know every part of their body. I'm serious. They know names of muscles, and it's amazing. It's cool. And you sit and you listen. You listen to players, and they're like, "Yeah," and I'm okay. That's cool. Dr. Google often comes up, but yeah. But it's nice. They need to have their stage as well. I listen. I'm not someone that just lays down the law. When the time comes, they will know that the law. There will be things that they definitely cannot do, but it's done in an adult fashion,
Okay. I think for me, my last question would be from a lot of our fans throughout the different platforms following the Proteas have asked about the fitness levels at provincial or franchise level. It's provincial because it's moving to provincial now, but at franchise level and national level, are they all the same, or and is there a step up, or like, and is there somebody who sets those?
So that's an interesting question, because with new leadership and how we're looking at things, we're definitely trying to create a general standard throughout Cricket South Africa in the professional element of that. Because at the end of the day, if you want to come and be selected for the Proteas, there is a standard. So that standard must be filtered through domestic cricket. And we are pushing that. Mark Boucher's quite good in terms of fitness and where he wants players to be. It's everyone's on the same boat. We have a good structure from our chief medical officer to our national physios and trainers and doctors to our leads. So there's another platform in terms of our lead strength and conditioning coach and our lead physiotherapists, and then to each of the 12 domestic teams. So we're all looking to align. Yesterday, we actually had an alignment meeting with all the physios in the country. So there's a lot of communication going around. There's a lot of education, and to try and bring a high standard to South African cricket, most definitely.
That's good to hear that from a point where you were the first full-time physio to now having 12 of each of the provinces. That's a beautiful transition and a beautiful movement through.
Yeah, so we're getting there.
Yeah.
Tim, do you have any final questions for Craig?
No, I think I'm done. I think we've covered just about
Craig, all I want to say to you is, can you please do, we are fully behind you. Carry us all the way through to this World Cup and probably in the next couple of cycles, but we appreciate the work that you do. I'm sure the players do, but the fact that we get to see the Proteas and them all in their healthy states, especially in this period, that must have been pretty tough. It's a testament to your work and the medical team. I know there's a wider medical team at play here.
Yeah, 100%. There's wider. They appreciate me a lot in the physio room. I try not to bowl to them before a game because I dent their confidence. So they're not very happy then. So I stay away from the day before cricket games because I'm unplayable. So they get dented. So it's it's
little things. It's the routines. It's you gotta give their confidence. Keep their confidence up. Yes,
it's nice to see. It's nice to see when the reverse sweep comes out, because I always chirp them. I said, when you're playing the reverse sweep, you can't read me. Little bit. Yeah.
It's not, well, we've seen the reverse sweep a lot over the past couple of years. So maybe they're trying they're using a few tactics they've learned with you from the nets to try and play you. So, Craig, thank you. But Craig, thank you very much for joining us for this chat.
Thanks,
we really, really love it. Our cricketing public is going to lap this up like a lot of water because you're such a great guy to talk to. And when I'm at the Wanderers, if you're not touring with the Proteas, I'll come around and say hi as well.
Come around. There's always a coffee brewing.
Oh, that's my language. Speaking my language. But yeah, so thank you very much, and probably till next time, maybe after that when we're world champions, we'll bring you on to talk about what happened there. But outside of that,
maybe I can have a second. Yeah, maybe I could get a second piece of memorabilia up in my house. I'll just check for my wife.
Yes, a picture of you with the trophy. That's what we want.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
But thank you very much. All the best. And thank you. Goodbye. And
thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Yes. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
Rest. I'll try.
Yes. Sure. Thanks. Well, Tim, that was a conversation that you set up, so thank you very much for that. Just what did you think? And before we close off,
it's not often you get to hear from people from behind the scenes, within a professional setup like that. So that was really nice. I thought it was really insightful. And there was people had plenty in there that I think a lot of listeners and viewers might not know, but he certainly gives a good account of himself. I thought he was very excellent. I thought he was excellent with his with what he said. So it was a good chat.
Yes, I really enjoyed that. And yeah, like the Proteas are in good hands. Literally, they're in good hands.
Exactly.
But obviously, just to talk, there's Test cricket on this week. It's England versus India, so that's something we're not going to necessarily talk about. But next week we'll try cover a lot of the SJN hearings as well. There's a lot of information being taken out this week. I need days to kind of decipher it all and go through with it. But yeah, yes,
we might have a guest next week. I'm just gonna leave it out there. I'm not sure 100%, but I've possibly got another guest next week. So just watch the space.
But most importantly, if you've enjoyed that, please, I'm going to put it up. Subscribe, turn that notification bell on. If you're watching this on your laptop, on the right-hand corner, right below Tim's bookcase there's a little corner there just where the stream comes up, the little writing there. Just click on the subscribe button and you can subscribe. So please do that. But Tim, thank you very much to everybody who's watched and viewed. Please do subscribe and everything else. But most importantly, this weekend, join us. We're taking on the British and Irish Lions. It is the decider. We don't have a lot of players, or without Faf, Peter Steff, as well as I don't know who the third person is, but the rugby guys will tell you. So it's going to be quite interesting, as it's history either way. South Africa don't play these guys every 12 years. Last time they won was like 97. So it's a lot of history happening. And luckily this week there's not a lot of Rassie and not a lot of Warren Gatlin. So that's going to be quite fun. But do join Otto and Dave on Saturday at 6 p.m. taking you through that. Thank you very much for joining us. This is the Full Quota podcast. My name is Mpho Muklani and I'm joined by Tim. And all I can say is have a good day and a good week and le sale kakagiso.